I'm Luke Syson. I'm the director of the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge, and I'm the curator of the Standout section at Frieze Masters. The Standout this year is looking at colour, and it's one of those things that's quite surprising, is that people haven't really asked what role colour plays in three-dimensional objects in a kind of consistent way. So what we're doing this year is thinking about how colour plays a part in the meaning, the appeal, the history of objects, ceramics, furniture, textiles, and so on. Behind me is the head of Bacchus, the god of debauchery, of wine, of a whole sort of set of orgiastic rituals that were going on in the ancient world. And it's made of so-called rosso antico, coloured red marble that was particularly chosen for subject matter, and it's blood coloured and it's wine coloured. What's happening here is that Roman sculptors are choosing a marble that was sourced in the very tip of the Greek peninsula, chosen for its association. Because it's a Bacchic subject matter, that relationship with blood and with wine and that sense of the wild becomes a key factor. The Guild Gallery is showing a range of pottery, of studio pottery, where the whole question of what colours of the clays and then what happens in the kiln are the key factors. So we called this section Earth and Accident. The story at the beginning of it is George Orr, the so-called self-proclaimed mad potter of Biloxi, a real maverick. He was sort of sitting very much on the edges of the art world, and he used to go out in a boat and get clay from the banks of the Mississippi and bring it back, refine it, and make it into these extraordinary free pots where the kind of rules of proportion and symmetries and so on and so forth were all abandoned. And instead he crimps and he shapes and he molds and he does things with this very beautiful clay which can stand up on its own. It's got this fantastic structure. There are pots which were made as biscuit, so unglazed, and so that you can admire the form and the colour of the clay. Behind me is an incredible cabinet, so a system of drawers and spaces from Ditchley Park in Oxfordshire. And the thing that makes it remarkable is the pietra dura panels that have been set in layers of coloured stones, and they've been put together to depict flowers and birds against this wonderful pale limestone grounds that they have. Interiors were much more colourful in the 18th century than our idea of polite gloom would let us believe today. In Tibet, as part of the Mitra Yogin tradition, so this is a branch of Buddhism, there's an incredible tradition for making mandalas. This 18th century mandala combines colour and tiny figures of the gods to produce a meditative tool that would have been used on an almost daily basis to arrive at a state of spiritual completeness. Colour for the West is mostly about either description or about ornament, and it's really only in the 20th century that the emotional impact and the symbolic nature of colour comes to the fore in abstract painting. It's probably always there, and it's absolutely to the fore in this 18th century mandala. It is amazing how mesmeric this piece is when you look at it close up. So thanks so much for joining me on this very fast tour of Standout. I hope you've been able to see is the way in which this challenges some of the kind of hierarchies of art history, which puts painting at the top and makes us understand that art history is to be really inclusive of a whole range of different kinds of object.